When the chaos from the Angel Fire settles down, the backup soldiers from the Protectorate arrive in their hazmat suits. The whole place is filled with ash from the explosion earlier, and surrounded with bodies of the soldiers. The backup team carefully checks each one of the soldiers, and notices that not only their bodies, but also their stacks had been completely destroyed. All of the soldiers sent here earlier were dead, all except Taxi Prime, whose high-tech wedge body had somehow managed to withstand the Angel Fire. Even though Taxi Prime's body was inflicted with severe burns, he had managed to survive while the others had not. The backup team relay the message to Danica: Taxi Prime is alive, but the other fugitives were nowhere to be found. Somewhere within the Harlan city, Trep and Takashi have taken refuge alongside an unconscious Qualchrist. Trep sells the transport they had arrived in to get hold of a portable nanoswarm that they plan to use to call Poe and dig to their location. Takashi believes that they will need every help they can to get Qualchrist back this time around. Back at the hideout of Taxi, Poe is concerned that there might be a breach in Dig's system files after Takashi Prime's forceful access of her memory. However, Dig is focused on creating the program that she had promised Poe, and doesn't want to run a diagnostic on herself just yet. Poe's memory is deteriorating rapidly, and if she couldn't complete the program soon, he might even die. Just then, Trep fires up the nanoswarm, and almost immediately Poe and Dig appear at the place. The two AI are relieved to find their masters safe and sound. Immediately the AI rush to check up on Qualchrist. Dig, who also has some medical experience while working for the archaeologs, starts a diagnosis on Qualchrist's sleeve. She finds out that her sleeve is shutting down on its own, and the problem came not from the sleeve, but the stack itself. There were red strands all over her stack, similar to the one on Heide's stack back when it was decaying after Qualchrist's attack. Trep's brother Annel's stack also had the same red strands. At the governor's office, Danica rewrites the symbol that Heidke had given to her as a gift to her father. She starts wondering what it could mean when suddenly her assistant Stone barges in. He is confused as to why the reports were stating Angel Fire had appeared on Harlan. Angel Fire could only be brought down from the technology of the alien race, the Elder, that previously lived in Harlan before the humans arrived. Their technology, the orbitals, was what was responsible for bringing Angel Fire. But no human had ever managed to control orbitals. No human except Qualchrist Falconer. Danica knows that if she can control it too, then they can get rid of the Protectorate and rule the galaxy themselves. She believes that all the answers they need lie in the symbol. Danica commands Stone to bring all the archaeologs alive to carry out research and find what the symbol means. To find out more about this strange happening in the stacks, Trep uses the memory device and goes into the memory of her brother's decaying stack. There she sees that her brother was in fact working for the Quellist faction and had gone to the stronghold in search of Qualchrist. He and his partners had stumbled upon the very room where Qualchrist was trapped by Ray. The roots of the stronghold's tree, Songspire, wrapped around them. Suddenly one of the members gets infected by the roots and starts turning glowing red, and immediately after another one gets the infection, and finally Annel. They all died, and with his dying breath Annel had woken up Qualchrist. Trep returns back sobbing at her brother's demise and relates the tale to her friends. After hearing her story, Takashi concludes that like Poe had assumed months ago, someone else was controlling Qualchrist, but that someone else was also inside the stack with her. Dig thinks it's impossible, as the stack would disintegrate if it carried two consciousness, but Takashi knows that if it was possible, only Qualchrist could make it so. She was the creator of stacks after all. The group then decide to isolate the two consciousness within Qualchrist into a virtual medium, and remove only Qualchrist from it, and upload her back into her sleeve while the intruder remains back in the virtual construct trapped by a firewall for eternity. Dig starts working on the construct as Poe pulls Takashi aside to tell him what he had learned in Sol Brassel's garden. Conrad Harlan was not there, and someone was perpetrating a lie about his retirement. Realizing the force that she was facing, Danica goes to Kara's cell and asks for his help. At first the colonel wants nothing to do with the governor, but Danica assures him that he would get the recognition he deserved. She knew that he was actually the war hero Jaeger who had led the Protectorate to victory against the First Rebellion, but he had gotten nothing in return. She promises him that if he helps her, she would give him what he deserved. He'd get statues and even get to keep his beloved Takeshi clone. Kara can only ask for so much and immediately agrees to help. Kara goes and confronts Takashi Prime, who had recovered back to his usual self thanks to the super healing perk of the sleeve. Kara is a little suspicious of him because he had managed to not only survive the Angel Fire, but also because of what he had seen with Qualchrist Falconer. Takeshi Prime, however, assures him that he is truly loyal to the Protectorate, and Takeshi Prime tells him that he had placed a marker on Dig 301, Takeshi's AI, and they could use them to track him. They used the tracker to find that Dig was actually creating a virtual construct for someone, and they plan to use that construct to track down the original location of Takashi. Kuria and Takeshi Prime both decide to remotely upload their consciousness into the construct as well. Elsewhere, as Dig finishes up with the construct, Takeshi reconciles with Po and thanks him for being such a good friend to him despite him acting like a jerk. He asks for one more favor. Takashi had planned to go into the virtual construct as well, and he wanted Po to make sure that Qualchrist came out of there alive no matter what. Just as Takashi and Qualchrist's consciousness is transferred into the construct, Kara and Takashi Prime also upload their consciousness into it. Inside the construct, Takashi confronts the being controlling Qualchrist's body. The being was an elder who tells Takashi why she was doing the killings. The founders who had first arrived in Harlan had slaughtered all of the elders that were alive so that humans could live there. All the founders except Heidgi carried out the heinous act. Heidgi too had just stood and watched as the slaughter had happened. She could not forgive any of them and was not so close to finishing her revenge. Takashi relates to her and empathizes with her emotions, but he cannot let her take a Qualchrist's body. 2 consciousnesses in one stack would eventually get both her and Qualchrist killed, and he couldn't have that. Elsewhere, Danica and her soldiers capture Trep's wife as she was the only remaining archaeologue in the Harlan world. Trep realizes this, and in order to get easy access to the place, she takes Takashi's sleeve and goes to save them. She barges in and instantly starts killing everyone around her. She even shoots down Danica and Stone just for the fun of it. Even though she knows that the two will come back again from their backup sleeves, she shoots them regardless. Trep comes back just in time for Takashi to jump back into his sleeve. He had managed to stall the Elder for just enough to trap her in the firewall, while Qualchrist escaped. As they escape, the virtual construct starts to crumble and fall, and Kara gets trapped. He asks Takeshi Prime to leave and finish his mission while he stays back. Back at the hideout, Dig realizes that she had a bug in her system and was being tracked by Takeshi after all. She asks Po to shut her down for some time so that they can escape. Po is reluctant but does as he is asked, promising that the two will meet again. After Takeshi Prime leaves, Kara wanders deep into the construct and stumbles upon the Elder, who attaches itself to his stack and uses him to escape the construct. As soon as he awakes, Jaeger goes into a murderous rampage, killing everyone of Danica's forces. As he heads out, he starts to get materials to control the orbitals and begins to reorient the nodes for Angel Fire. Back at the hideout, Takeshi Prime arrives empty-handed and tells them that he is on their side. Takashi is not convinced that he would be of any help, but Qualchrist decides to let the man join them. Just then, they realize that the virtual room is empty, which means that the Elder had escaped somehow. Takashi Prime tells them that Jiger, or Kara, was still in the virtual room, so he was probably the one with whose help the Elder escaped. Qualchrist wants to kill off Kara and offer herself to the Elder once again and hope for the best, but Kovacs believes that the only way to subdue the Elder and save Harlan is to hand over Conrad Harlan to the Elder so that the Elder can complete its revenge. The group go to Trep's father's place in hopes to resupply, but to their dismay the man was already dead, his stack destroyed. As Trep weeps over her father's demise, Takeshi Prime watches over the consequences of his actions. Trep is distraught and decides she no longer wants to tag along. The planet was going to end if the orbitals were used, so she wants to stay with her family. Her father was dead. Her brother was gone too. She had no motive to stay with them anymore. Takeshi, Qualchrist, and Takeshi Prime surrender themselves to Danica, who had already come back in her new sleeve. They tell her that her father is the key to stopping the Elder from destroying all of Harlan, and request her to reveal his location. It takes some persuasion, but Danica finally agrees. She goes to her drawer and removes a stack that has been blown by a bullet right through it. Danica had already killed Conrad Harlan and destroyed his stack along with all the backups. Then she had paid all the people to make sure this lie didn't come out until she gained all the power in Harlan for herself. They had no choice but to show the Elder that her revenge had already been completed, and hope that she lets go of her anger. Takeshi assigns Po to find the point of convergence of the orbitals from where the Elder would try and manipulate the weapons. The AI gets to it, but his glitch is getting more and more serious. Po tries to find the convergence point for Angel Fire, but keeps glitching again and again. He realizes that he will have to reboot, else he won't be able to function anymore. The program created by Dig 301 was complete, but there was no assurance that it would work as planned. This meant that he would have to risk the reboot anyway. The time for it was nearing as well. He comes to the realization that a person lives as long as he doesn't fear death. Despite his rigorous glitches, he manages to pinpoint the point of convergence to a nearby location. Takeshi Prime goes back to Trep in hopes that he can convince her to come back and join them one last time. He confesses that he was the one that had killed her father and regretted doing it, but tells her that she still had her wife and kids that she could save. Trep is extremely furious at him but decides that he is right and goes to help the group. Qualchrist, Takshi, and Danica plan to approach the Elder to offer it the dead stack of Conrad Harlan. Qualchrist has a backup plan, however, to kill Kara, take the Elder within herself, and redirect the angel fire upon herself and rid the world of the Elder. While they approach the Elder, almost convincing it to let go of its revenge, Danica double-crosses them and tries to kill the Elder to obtain control over angel fire. She is, however, killed by the Elder instead. The Elder then redirects its attention to Qualchrist and Takshi, and the three get into a scuffle. The Elder is extremely powerful, and having Kara's sleeve makes it even more so. It can easily subdue both of the talented fighters. Midway through the fight, Poe is forced to reboot and he is unable to help anyone. As he leaves saddened by the situation in which his friends are, he writes down one final message in his footnotes. The Elder almost kills Qualchrist, but Takshi Prime arrives just in time to fight back the Elder. Takshi switches places with Qualchrist and enacts the plan that she had envisioned. He kills Kara and takes the Elder within himself, then with its power redirects the angel fire at himself, and the Elder along with Takshi are burned down to crisp. His stack is gone as well. Takshi is now dead. A few days later, the Senate has re-established itself in Harlan, and they give Takshi Prime a pardon for killing Takshi and Qualchrist, although they are still skeptical that Qualchrist is dead. 3 months later, Dig has now renamed herself Annabelle, a character from one of Edgar Allan Poe's famous poems. Annabelle had been waiting for Poe ever since in the primary hideout of Takshi, until one day he arrives. He is a bit lost. The program she had made didn't work correctly, and he had lost most of his memories. All Poe knew was that he had this footnote with the address of that place, and a code. Poe shows Annabelle the code, and they realize that this code was the code of Takshi's stack, which could presumably be used to bring the man back to existence again. Subscribe and hit that like button to help grow our channel. And don't forget to click the notification icon so you won't miss any of our new videos. Thanks for watching.